Ralucha bakgotsi mokgotsi wa nga nruta Sepedi uh, so that xa ndikoti ka ngoDisemba ndizofika emdantsane ndithi ke wena mang. So welcome back to my YouTube channel. Andikwazi utsho ngeSepedi yet. So namhlanje I'm going to be taking you through an investment property. Sayifaka kwi-model yam, and then we're just gonna have a quick chat. I'm gonna keep it at 550,000 or 600,000 because I had someone in the chat asking about that. I'm in the process of selling a property. So if you want to know more about the costs involved in that process, comment down below and I can make a video about that. I also am thinking of making a video of how much I spent at the 2025 bushfire Eswatini. So let me know if that's also something that you'd be interested in. Basically, we're a finance sort of channel. So anything to do with maths, like you would have seen, I did like how to buy an iPhone on contract or cash, and then I did the calculations. I've done car finance. I'm doing a bit on home finance. So that's the vision. The only reason that I started off with my quant background, and I won't stop on the quant or educational career side, but the only reason I started with that was because I wanted you guys to know that I know what I'm talking about. So it was sort of like me showing you why you should listen to the channel. So let's get into it. All right, so Sauchonga in the Riverside view, right? So this is under Midrand, or Four Ways if you like. I have a property there. This guy actually sold it to me. So at the time, ebesebenzela ilantuki value max ne value link. One of them is the developer and the other one is the seller. So I used to work with him. Now he's at KW Explore. So that's where I bought my property. But I owned a flat. I didn't own a house. When I got to the houses, I got in too late. They were already sold out. And then what the developer does is, for about 5 years, right, because of the NHBRC provision, they have to keep like a couple of houses so that if something happens to your house structurally, they have to fix it and then they move you into one of their existing houses. So what happened is that in 2024 or 2023, late 2023, early 2024, one of the properties that they had kept, that they were transferring or moving owners into while they were rebuilding or fixing their houses with structural defects, came on the market. I didn't really like the area, and it was tiny, the section within the Greater Riverside View, and the house was tiny, so there wasn't room for development. It was a 2-bed, 150 squares, I think. So it was smaller than what I was looking for. But I guess I'm just trying to point out that is one opportunity if you miss out on the initial houses. 3, 4, 5 years later, the developer can sell, but then you've got less choice in terms of the house, where it's situated within the area, and the size and the color, and whether it's 2 or 3 bed. So I guess that's the disadvantage. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a complex. I don't know as apartments. These ones I know. So we're just gonna open this one. Right. I'm doing incognito so that my email doesn't show. But yeah, there's no other reason. So I'm just gonna make the picture bigger. So it's a riverside view, like I said. So there's multiple complexes, and most times the agent doesn't actually mention which is which. So I don't know. Let's see if they mention it or if they take pictures. But there's quite a few of them. There are 41 square meters, and then there are 46 square meters. And then the latest phase, Cranes 1 and Cranes 2, have 50 square meter apartments. Those ones are pretty cool because as new units, it's in a balcony. My friend owns in Cranes 1, and yeah, her unit has a balcony, which is pretty neat. I own in Sparrows. Sparrows doesn't have a balcony, and I've got a big unit, 46 square meters, which is quite decent. I've been renting it out. Initially, I got like a 5.8. Currently, my tenant is on 6.2. Gorgeous tenant. She pays on time. She actually pays early, which is, perfect. And so I'm going to put in the inputs I have for my model, and that's basically what we're going to be looking at here. But I'm going to put in this purchase price, and then we'll see how that works out. I got mine for 480 at the time, 479, straight from the developer, so I didn't pay any fees, and I did that 2 years ago. July 2023. Yeah. Okay, so the apartment is pretty neat. But in a space, like if you're able to mount a TV and have a couch, it means that there's a good distance. There's good space in that in that apartment. In a built-in cupboards, both bedrooms have built-in cupboards. This is quite spacious. You've got a double bed and you've got ilanduka, a study desk, which is quite decent. Kitchen, but there's a nice broom cupboard. There's a cupboard above the sink. There's an opportunity to put in more cupboards here if you wish. Even if it's just a bit of shelving, and then there's cupboards on the other side, and then it comes with istovu, ifridge yakho, microwave yakho, and understand that. Okay, so yeah, this is the big bedroom, like I said, and then this is the smaller bedroom. Now you're built-in, as you can see. This is outside, so there's ground, and then there's 1, 2, 3 floors. So my unit is on the 3rd floor, and it's a nice corner unit, because Aspero's corner unit are the ones that have 46 square meters. And then there's a cute little play area for abantwana, the kids. And then this is like a clubhouse situation. And if you're hosting, you can host over there, which is quite neat. So there's A to E Esperos, but I can't speak for this one because I'm not sure which is which. And that, of course, is the bathroom. So they have baths. There's no shower overhead or anything like that. So if ever you're looking for a place with a shower, you would have to install that sort of ngokwakho. Okay, so Uteri, I've actually dealt with Uteri. She's the one that helped me view Ilanduka. The one that I'm saying the developer had sold or was selling, So this is recently listed. So if 545, they put in 10.75. Prime is at, let's actually look at that. Prime, I think 7.25. Oh, not Prime, sorry, I'm thinking Repo. So Prime is, Repo is 7.25 and Prime is 10.75. So it's just plus 2.5, sorry, plus 3.5. Plus 3.5. So it's 10.75. That's what they have there. I'm going to increase this a bit and put it at Prime plus 2 just to give us a cushion. So basically these are the numbers that we're going to be using in our model. If 545 at Prime plus 2, the interest rate here too. So we're going to go into our model. So this model was developed by Umtuduzi Masilela, a good friend of mine and an ex-classmate, and I made modifications to it in the way of increasing the years. So now it goes to 20 years. Previously it only had an exit of up to 5 years. And I also included Landuka for a transfer costs, a logic for a transfer costs. All right, so a discount rate is basically the opportunity cost. So I'm saying if I wasn't putting in my money project, what I was going to do is I was going to invest Lemali and I was going to get about 6.5%. Lena is an interest rate that I found on the FNB savings rate. At the time, it might have gone down since Prime went down. Since there was a rate cut, so I'm going to use 6.25 for now. But yeah, I usually like to keep this quite low because I'm thinking I would invest the money in a readily accessible account, nothing serious like fixed or anything like that. Also, imali enthetha ngayo apha is the monthly installment. So la 4.5 to 5 plus levies, and not necessarily a lump sum. You understand that, because I'm not buying it cash. As an investor, we're talking about investors that borrow from the bank and use the bank's money to sort of invest, right? So the market value, we'll start here with the market value of the apartment. The market value is 545, right? So you're not going to offer 545. You're always going to give yourself like you're not desperate. You want to go in, you want to make a purchase, you want to make an offer, but I'll go desperate. So we'll say, let's say 520. Of course, if you're not desperate and you offer 520 and they say no, you can walk away from the deal because you're not desperate, because you're looking, because you're confident in your finances, you know what you're looking for. This does not need to be exactly what they're asking for, right? That's the seller's wish. It's got nothing to do with you. And you mustn't let the agent pressure you into putting in that full deal. The issue becomes when you're buying because you're going to live in it and not because you're going to invest, then you become, a bit emotional and desperate, and then you let the agent convince you that you're not going to find something else like this. Yeah, but know what I mean. You're shopping from a position of desperation. That's when you'll accept anything, even if it's not in the price range that you're looking for, and even if it's not necessarily ticking all of the boxes. So at 545, you're offering 95% of the listing price, which is pretty decent. I mean, I would go in a bit lower, but I think for most investors, they would be sort of uncomfortable going in a bit lower than this. So I think 5% is a good discount if you want to, try things off. I'm going to put 0, or I'm going to put 1 as a deposit, because I think my model breaks if I put 0 over there. So basically no deposit, which means I'll bond at the full 520,000. So now here I've got max 0 or all costs. So I've got a calculator here that calculates basically the individual costs that are associated with this purchase, right? So that's sort of my logic. So it's saying you're gonna have to have 46,000 and a half, 46 and a half thou upfront to sort of get this over the board as the buyer, right? I'm going to say nothing in terms of upfront costs, and I'm going to say, let's say 5K in terms of refurbishment costs. So refurbishment costs are, if you want to put it like ufake paint entsha, or if umdebene mounted TV and now you want to remove that and maybe fill those holes, if the curtain rails came off, if i-cupboards zidinga repaintwa, if i-cupboards amacango adinga hinges ezintsha, that's sort of the type of thing that you would put under refurb costs. Le apartment is brand new, siyibonile kwi-picture, so there's unlikely ubana kukho umsebenzi omninzi odinga ukwenzwa, but it's better to have this kwi-model yakho rather than ingabikho and then it's a surprise on the downside. Yabo. I-levies ke phaya ndibhatala 1.6 mna together with i-storage, so apha ndizawufaka i-1.6 yabo. Then i-rates, they're quite cheap, i-38 it's at 400 ne? Allowance for bad debts is basically 5% where rental amount. Obviously rental ayo 40,000 apha. I was running this for another model. I-rental, like I said, mna ndiku 6.2. Ifriend yam le ine-apartment eCranes urentisa i-6.5 banipazami or i-6.8, but yena une-balcony, so that's also something just to be mindful of. What you want to do actually is masingakhi entloko, masize apha siyibonile i-apartment ne, so masithi i-rentals e-Riverside view. Yena we don't need uba sikhe entloko, ilula le nto. Sathi apartments ne. And it's always nice to say most recent. Into emnandi ke apha is that zinqabile ii-apartments zorenta. So because the area is in high demand. So if uthengile, then within a month or two, I never usokole ufumana umntu. So ezi zi-owned by a developer. These aren't privately owned. These are owned by the developer, and abantu buy directly from a developer. Le 5.5, which means ezi sizifunayo actually azikho. You understand? Now let's do this in case ilanduka. Sometimes the agents put it in wrong. Tagging ayikho kwa available. Yayibona loo nto it's in like really high demand. So into sayenza sawuqhuba ngalalanduka sinayo. Oh, okay, let me actually close this in case it opens on a page I don't want it to open on. So sawugcina le 6.2 ke ndiyichachayo mna, understand? And then esilapha mos i-levies, sorry, 1.6 not 16,000. Besithetha nge-allowance for bad debts. So i-allowance for bad debts is me basically saying if i-tenant yam ayibhatali, then funeka ndibe ne-provision ye-310 per month endiyibekayo. If akabhatali, then ndizawudipha kula 310 to subsidize i-costs zalo nyanga. Uyayibona? Suppose zimali ozibhatala monthly lena iya obviously kwi-body corporate, lena iya kwi-COJ, and then lena ke ngoku iya suppose ndiyayiseva separately apha kum, should adefault then ifund yam enodipha kuyo, uyayibona, to get me out of trouble. yabo. I-levies include la 704 izawunyuka ngoJune July, la 704 ye-sewage ke City of Joburg, which means i-levies effectively ne is about 850 900, but la 600 yo la 704 icollectwa yi-COJ, yo icollectwa yi-body corporate, and then they pay it over in bulk to City of Joburg, yabo. Then apha ngumasipala yilantuka i-rates ne-dustbin collection, waste removal. I-repairs and maintenance i-5%, ne-property management i-5%. I-property management is not so much by the reserves, the monthly cost, so these two should actually be switched around. I-allowance for bad debts i-reserve. I-property management ndiyayibhatala mna. I've explained on an earlier video, you guys want to check. I don't know if it was a short or not, but I explained bana mna ndiyayithanda peace of mind and I'm not good at admin, so i-property management, i-property yami iyamanejwa, except lena ke le ndiya-self-manager, but I had i-placement. But kwezinye ii-units zam ndinamntu omanajayo, ndino-Rosin and then ndino-Kingstons eBenoni abamanaja i-property yam, so that I can have a peace of mind. So this isn't so much a reserve as in a monthly cost. So yilaa mali bayibhatalayo recurringly to i-agent that collects i-rental and pays the things for you. Yayibo, ubhatala umasipala, abhatale nee-levies zakho, akolekte ne-rental, unikwe i-change ke wena kuzibone no-FNB. I-lease up window sayibeka ku-0 ne. I-lease up window is basically xa usithi umntu wam uyaphuma ngoFebruary, so ngoMarch isenoba empty indlu ndifumane umntu ngoMay only, so apho ubuzawuthi mhlawumbi 1 yabo, but apha sibonile ubana ku-empty azikho ii-units outside of ezi ze-developers 5.5 as available for rent, which means if uliste namhlanje kwakule veki uzamfumana umntu. So if umntu wakho uphuma ngoFebruary, kwangofebruary enza ii-viewings, uqale uqokelele uthini through i-agent if wenza through i-agent, or uzenzele if iyazenzela, so that come month end unayo umntu readily for uMarch, you understand? And then i-vacancy percentage per year ndithe 1/12. I guess, look, these are one and the same, yeah, you know what I mean? So if udila ne-students ne, i-lease up window mhlambi ungathi 1/12, yebo, then i-vacancy uthi 2/12, whereby students typically rent for 10 months out of 12 months. So you can play around with these two. Essentially they are doing one and the same things. Uyayibona ila period whereby i-unit yakho i-empty, so ufuna uba aware that awuzukoleka rental kwezanyanga, so i-future value yelanto kayi-model yakho needs to take that into consideration. And then i-bond besithe ku-10.75 ne uprime currently, so sathi prime plus 2, which is 12.75. Ndingatsho noba 13% andoyiki nto, ndiyandasena ndizawuthi 10 ndizawuthi 13,000 yo 13% interest rate. Ibond yam ndizayigcina ku-20 years. I-rental growth ndizawuthi 6%. I think that's pretty reasonable, especially for a Gauteng. No-5 ingayiyo. Inflation of levies ziyanyuka ke sanabadlali, and then ne-rates COJ iyanyusa 9%. Ndambona ngamehlo wam for the past 2 years eCity of Joburg. Inflation of building insurance, awubhatali building insurance because insurance is included kwi-levies zakho kwi-sectional title. Akho building insurance, so akho inflation of building insurance. I-date of investment, it doesn't really matter, but isizawuthi July, asithi sawungena ngoJuly apha ne. I-length of hold, so this is basically ucinga uyigcina kangakanani le apartment kwi-portfolio yakho. Zathi 10 years, but ndizayishintsha number to show you what it does. Appreciation is quite low ke Gauteng. I think I've showed you in a previous video kwa-Stats SA, where I was basically showing RPPI index, rental price something index within the country, and then it shows you different provinces, and then it shows you different metros, so the number would come from there. So ithi lento if uyigcine for le 10 years ibhale pha phezulu iza appreciate by 3.5% after 10 years, sibe ku-760. I-cost of sale la mali uzayibhatala i-agent xa uthengisa as an investor. So benditshilo mos dathi i-transfer costs zibhatalwa yisela, yo ibhatalwa zibhaya, then wena uzawubhatala le cost of sale at the end. So it's gonna be 5% on le 770 uzakuthengisa ngayo. Market value besitshilwa yi-545 and thina si-offerisha yi-520 on 545. I-rental ndi-10 ntloko ndithi 6.2 le ndiyitshajayo mna for i-unit yam. I-bond yi-6.1. Uyayibona ubana already i-bond plus la mali uzayibhatala i-69 monthly service fee already equals to i-rental amount, which means enye nenye is going to be on you. Uyayibona loo nto? Do you see how much more important it becomes i-offer price yakuba ibe low? understand, so that i-shortfall yakho izoba low. Sanibonisa i-shortfall. And then annually i-rental yield yakho ngu-12% apha gross. Uyayibona, jongani ke ithini le nto, ithi le nto i-leveraged return yakho uzawuba leveraged mos because uzayiboleka la 520 yonke, minus 1.1. That's not good, negative. And then it means you are losing 100,000 kule deal instead of making 100,000. Asizumjonga unleveraged. Unleveraged is if uthenga cash. So nantsi la 545 initially outflow plus le 46. So that's why ubona 571 apha. But that's not our ministry. Thina sithenga cash, sebenzisa imali ebhenki. Nasena ndizayenza ncinci sizoyibona kahle i-chart yethu. Yeah. So nansi chart yethu ye-leveraged. So initially ukhupha la 51,000, which is i-45,000 initially, imali khutshwa mali le mali jonge si-transfer costs ne-refurbishment costs, la 46 plus la 5 besithe sikhuphe i-refurbish cost ne-R1 nge-deposit. Yabo, nansi, so minus 51, and then yi-bond lena, yi-bond oyikhuphayo ne-levies nentontoni per month, understand, for 10 years. Then uthengise, uyayibona mana it's cash flow negative for the term. Le lantuka le deal, it's cash flow positive for the entire term. Le lantuka le investment in negative for the whole term. You're only positive in year 10 xa uthengisa. So into endizayenza ndizawutshintsha apha ilantuka investment horizon yethu, instead of 10 mandiyithi 5 sibone. You understand? Cash flow negative still. You understand? Even more actually. What does this mean? It means in year 0 uzokhupha la 51,000 besithe zeza fees mos nala 5,000 refurbishment costs. Then following year ukhupha minus 36,000, which means above and beyond i-tenant ikubhatala 6.2 uzofuneka uadd 36 divided by 12, which is about 3,000 epokothweni yakho. Yayibona izawutya kuwe le investment, etc. So nyusa iminyaka apha. So this is how you play around with the model basically. You understand? Uyakwazi nokwenza goal seek, which is what I usually do, to tell me what should I offer in order for me to be cash positive, cash flow positive. You understand? That's the beauty of a model. Uthi ufika kwi-agent ube uresolute bana how much you're offering and the maximum yakho awugonqi. I love a model exactly because of that. Silapha, so cash flow negative again, first year 36, which is 3,000 a month. 34 ngo-13 ndo zimali ezinkulu ezisifunekayo apho. Month 15 years lo masithi 20 sibone bizasibeka phi. Nalo 20 years yayibona bana yi-36,000 3,000 iye ibe babhetere ke, masithi kuye 10 i-24 per month, yo per year, which is about 2.5 masitsho 2.5 per year. But it's still negative until. So inoba niyazibuza bana why ke umuntu ezawuinvesta kule nto. Well, it all depends bana i-entry point yakho ithini ne-rental yakho ithini. You understand? So mna into endizayenza ndizawuthoba apha i-offer yam, ndizawuthoba i-offer yam from i-520 to 500 ne 250 500. Ndizayithoba i-offer yam ibe ku-500,000 ne then ndinyuse i-rental ibe yi-6.8. Anka ndiyazi nokuthi yi-6.8 okanye yi-6.5 irental yakho. You understand? Sithobe i-offer relative to ilantuka i-545 market value, which is not unheard of because jonga i-discount yethu sifake only discount ye-9%, which is actually not bad. If we avula i-property report ka-FNB, FNB will tell you that nationally ku-9%, 9 to 10% discount that offers often sell at. Ungabogunqiswa into oyibonayo ku-property 24, that's the listing price, yek listing price. Or yeah, a sales report, which you can get on a banking app. Yeah, I've also got a video about that, so check it out. Playlist, yeah, money hacks. So much strong with a rental 6.8, the offer price 500,000, annual yield date 14%, still negative 196, but let's see, it's still negative. We'll leverage to 10 year too. It's still negative, ne? But it's less negative, so minus 27 for year 1, which is about 3,000, and then year 10 minus 15, which is about 1.2, per month. Uyayibona ubana i-less negative but still ayikho positive. So into esawuyenza asikwazi ukuyisa i-rent more than omeza, kuzawufuneka sithobe apha or sinyuse i-deposit. Masinyuse i-deposit, masithi unemali apha epokothweni, uyayibona, masifake i-50 because also awukwazi ude wehlise i-offer price to the point whereby it's unlikely to be accepted. Masithi une-50,000 epokothweni ne ozayifaka as i-deposit, then uzawukwazi ubhatala ne-transfer cost zakho ze-40. Uyayibona ubana ke ngoku plus laa refurbish cost is about 95,000 ozayikhupha upfront. Sibone uba siyaphi ngaloo nto. I-less negative i-NPV yakho, i-net present value, which means you're still losing money, which means it's not really a good investment deal. But it gets you on the property ladder, and then from there on. So year one minus 20, which is about, it's way less, it's way better than the minus 36 less you have to admit. So minus 20, that's about 2k a month out of pocket, 1.8 per month. Then year 10 minus 8, which is about less than 1,000, masiti 850 per month still very negative. You understand? So i-property enjena ayikho bad, uyakwazi uyifaka portfolio yakho, but it just means that i-property yakho elandelayo has to help subsidize them. You understand? Because at the end of the day is gonna end. It can't be bana zonke i-cash flow zakho zi-negative across i-portfolio yakho. You understand? So into endizayenza ndizawuzama into nezamane. I think u-500 decent. Kuzawufuneka ndiyose i-deposit, asinayo enye choice. Ndifuna ukubonisa ubana how to get to a cash flow positive. Masithi une-100 epokothweni. Yeah, masithi une-100 epokothweni, which means uzawubhonda i-400,000 only. Uyayibona ibond yakho yehlile relative to i-rental. Qala ibond ibi-6.1, ngoku ibond i-4.9 because ufake intoni i-deposit e-deep. Usene-transfer cost, mind you, so i-140 already plus la 5, so i-145 funeka uyikhuphe. I know it's steep, but let's play around. Let's see what the maths. Uyayebo, jonga ke, uyayibona ibheterana. Yabo, ude wa-positive ngoye-18. Year-18 positive, year-19 positive. Initially ubhatala about 1,000, which is pretty decent. I think that's pretty decent. Ubhatala about 1,000 out of pocket. Year-2 yiloo tawo. Ayikho bad. It's actually quite andizuthi juicy ke because I did a green at the end, but masibona 30 years because ndiyazi bakhona abantu who are gonna say Thando, why not 30 okanye masithi 25 because some banks offer you 25. Let's look at what 25 years gives us. You understand? So a length of hold might be 25 nayo. You understand? Let's see where that takes us. Obviously nibonile with 25 years appreciating at 3.5 ilanduka i-market value ye-apartment grow a bit more, so i-exit yakho is going to be a bit higher. It's a negative at negative 136. It's a negative at negative 136 apartment. Yeah, understand that? So class city up, ukhuphi 140 bendishila ngithi yi-100 man bhekelise lento yi-100 ozabe uyikhuphile ne uzokhupha i-100 yakho plus i-40,000 ye-fees plus i-5,000 ye-refurbishment costs. You understand that? Ngoma-11 iba positive ngo-year 7 ke ngoku. Yebo, year 7 we're already in the positive. Yebo, about 300 per year. Ibe juicy mhlambi pha ko-year 17, year 18 whereby it's about 500 a month, 2.2 per year. Yeah, understand that? Then i-graph yami iphela ngo-year 20, so ayikwazanga ukontinuisha because andiselectanga 25 apha ndimfakanga. You understand that? That's my mistake because ndiyenze up until 25, so mandithi 20. Yabo, but ibond isa-continuisha, so it doesn't really make sense because imodel yam ngu-20 year and yanga ku-25, unfortunately. Imani ndehlise offer, although it's unrealistic, ndizawufaka i-offer ye-450. You understand? And ndifake i-deposit ye-100, which means ndibonde 350. Niyayibona ubana zi-dynamic ilanto ke-transfer costs zehlile because the-transfer costs, they're calculated based on how much the bond amount is that you are registering, right? So it's incremental. If I'm on a tax, it's based on how much you're earning, right? So it's still negative at 86,000. Bond yakho 4.1 compared to rental 1.8, US 6.8. If I run a model, you're gonna look at this and be like, it's 6.8 minus 4.1 1.7 in my pocket, forgetting levies, forgetting rates. You understand? So that's why it's important to have a model to run through this, so that ungayijongi ngamehlo into ibone right. Yeah, ifake kwi-model, ifake kwi-spreadsheet, numbers don't lie, watch break. So minus 141 ila 35 year fees is 5,000 year deposit, your 5,000 year refurbishment costs, so ila 141 in negative year 5 ngakathi yabo is sweet. 1.2 per year, which is about 100 rand a month. I mean, it's not gonna move bank account yakho, but at least you know bana year 5 iyazirana le nto, awunalantuka, you don't have to do anything or contribute anything to it, positive cash flow wise. Yeah, understand that. Then my year and it 15 is just becoming juicy. Is 6.6 per year, is about 500 per month. Yeah, but imali leyo, imali, because imali positive engene accounting yakho, you don't have to do anything. You understand that? Because why? Une provisions for maintenance, andithi provisions for property management, repairs and maintenance. So you've been keeping money. So come year 15, uyakoleka qha imali yakho. You don't have to do anything outside of what you have provisioned for. You understand? Worry giza and things like that, I can't need, because sectional title, so insurance is covered by ilantuka yakho, complex yakho, body corporate. We are claim a car. Some of them might obviously have equal payments for certain things, but again, you can dip into your repairs and maintenance budget for that. I'm going to stop the video here. What I'm basically trying to show you is that a lot goes into property investment. It's not enough for you to go and look at the bond amount or bond repayment related to the rental amount. You have to factor in how many months of the year the apartment is likely to be empty. You have to factor in a budget, your repairs and maintenance, right? You also have to now factor in levies. You have to factor in the rates. And I know this is for like largely investment property, but also this is quite helpful if ujonge an apartment that you want to buy and live in. You understand? Just so you can see the monthly cash flows and how much you're gonna be, how much you're gonna be paying to sort of live in that apartment. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video here. Thank you for watching. Again, two things. I'm thinking of a video to talk about selling one of my units and how much that's costing me and the process involved. Comment in the in the comments below if that is something that you would be interested in, or if you have specific questions to guide me below video. And then I went to bushfire 2025 with my friend. So if you want to know how much that cost me, and yeah, everything to do with bushfire in terms of the finances, let me know again in the comments below what you want to see and what you want to hear about in terms of the finances for that video. Flights, accommodation, etc, etc. Thanks again for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.